This sucks. I should be happy today. Unfortunately, things have not gone our way. And
they've gone our way all right.
Shh. Be quiet, Sam. Be quiet for 1 second before you say the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I just want to get on with this. And real quick, before we get into the Dame slop talk, we got to talk about Underdog. Promo code SLOP, SLOP, get a $100 deposit match on to Underdog. Sign up right now. They have a Jared Goff special running right now if he gets more than 1 yard. They also have their $100,000 Sunday where they give out $10,000 to 10 random people. They got a lot of NFL stuff on there. They also have NBA stuff. Unfortunately, they don't have any Dame or Giannis picks up on there yet, but they have NBA season stuff on there. You can also do best ball. I'm very depressed right now about all of this. We'll get into it in a second, but please go on there. Underdog, promo code SLOP. Okay. So we're here. Nihilus Bucks will be joining us to do a victory lap. And we are here to talk about I see Sam cooking up possibly maybe the worst take we've ever seen on the podcast. I see when he gets into his Brian Windhorse mode, I know he's about to cook something incredibly dumb off the top of the dome right here. So Damian Lillard has been traded finally. This was supposed to be the first day that I was going to not be doing anything related to work or just life events in 10 days. And here we are because, of course, it would drop on today. Dame gets traded to the Bucks out of nowhere. We just did a whole hour podcast where we didn't talk about the Bucks one time, Sam. I don't think we brought them up. No. Like I could have never imagined the Bucks being the team that Dame ended up on, because the thing that we said when I had Nihilus Bucks on early in the offseason, when we've talked about the Bucks, is they're fucked. They have no assets. They have no way to trade whoever's on their team or any picks and turn it into something that will keep Giannis there for his next extension. And a few weeks after I believe we put them in the C tier. Sam, you wanted to put them in the D tier for their front office.
Yep, correct.
And they have pulled off a trade that now gives them 2 top 15 players in the NBA, possibly makes them the favorite in the Eastern Conference, and almost certainly guarantees that Giannis is probably going to sign that extension, I would imagine, or at least makes it more likely. So what was our first reaction? Sam, I know you've been stewing on something here. What was your first reaction to the trade when it came through?
I was just thinking, thank God that the Miami Heat fans, I know they were really nervous about losing Tyler Hero and his trade asset. So luckily they get to watch Tyler Hero again. Tyler Hero will be back on the Miami Heat. He will be shooting the ball for them. Congratulations, Heat fans. You did it. We did it.
They maintain the asset. That's really the big winner of this. Yeah.
And that is just all I'm really excited about. I mean, my reaction is, obviously this is kind of a worst case scenario if you're a team with Eastern Conference playoff aspirations. But however, I will say that there is a little bit of downside here for the Bucks. Not as much as it might seem, because a lot of people are saying, well, those Bucks picks are going to be pretty juicy. However, if the trade assures that Giannis is going to extend, they get significantly less juicy, which is kind of the logic circle here that makes this a bad.
Those picks are in 2028 and 2029. Do we know what the state of, not to go full Zach Lowe here, but do we know what the state of the world is going to be in 5 to 6 years?
Well, I mean,
we could all be underwater. The jet stream could collapse.
Well, I mean, Milwaukee will be the crown jewel of the Great Lakes Imperium.
Sure.
So, like
Right, yeah.
after the Third Civil War, I mean,
True.
they will be one of the last bastions.
It will be every year
humanity.
will be Nuggets Bucks in the finals, not because they have the two best players, but because all of other society has collapsed, and those are the only regions that we can live in anymore.
Right. Yeah. The fresh water of the lakes regions, the Bulls will still be around too. So, and they'll still be exactly as bad, even though there'll only be 3 teams in the league.
They'll still somehow have the 30. They'll still be the 30th worst team.
Yeah. Somehow. Yeah. I gotta say, I mean, I guess I am pretty baffled that they went for this trade package because, I mean, if you step back, it's like, okay, well, they got DeAndre Ayton, they got rid of Nurkic, that all makes sense. But then you take another step back and you realize, well, that was always going to happen because for some reason the Suns are silly. Like, I don't know. Still don't really get what the Suns were cooking there. I don't. I mean, to be honest, I've made fun of how shitty the Heat package is. I really did want the Heat to get them, to get Damian Lillard, because it would have ruined them for 5 years. So that is a little bit tragic. This gives Miami an out to when Jimmy starts getting old this year. They'll be able to, tank and get down to like the, a top, probably 10 pick this year. So,
well, the thing that
They're
we talked
bad
about,
at top 10 picks,
and also I just want to say the thing that we talked about last night was it makes things a bit more urgent for Miami because Miami has Jimmy at his age, and you also have the case that like all of these trade assets they have seemed much more valuable when there was a guy that wanted to go to your team and was like, hey, trade me to this one team, and you didn't make a serious offer from what we understand. He apparently, even Florida State Buzz, or Sports Buzz, Barry Jackson, who is essentially state media.
Miami State Media,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I know they usually stand against countries that have state media in Miami. But Barry Jackson is firmly a part of state media in Miami, and he even said that the Heat never re-upped their offer. They never topped an offer that was made by either the Bucks or whoever made an offer. They never sent a final one. From what I understand, if I'm to believe what Waz was saying on Bill Simmons' podcast and what other people have floated out there, the final offer was something like the Tyler Hero contract, one of those other prospects, and 2 first-round picks. And the Blazers probably said, fuck it, we can get more for Jrue Holiday in a second trade, and then we can get these Bucks picks that we actually value in 2028 and 2029. Why do we even have to deal with Miami if they're not willing to give us something that we actually want? So,
I mean, it was very clear that like Miami was not willing to actually like put forth a serious offer. Yeah. Even with the 7 assets theory. Like I keep seeing the 7 assets theory, the idea that Miami had 7 assets to work with, and like they weren't willing to commit more than 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. But even if they had just committed all 7, like that would have still been an underwhelming trade. We spent all summer talking about how that was going to be an
Sorry, I'm laughing. If anyone's listening on audio, I'm laughing at the comment that says Toronto would simply not dangle OG Anunoby for Damian Lillard.
Dangling. No dangling.
It wasn't even in the room.
Yeah. He wasn't even in the country, I heard. I heard he wasn't allowed in Canada.
I got to respect me, handshake, Masai, wasting people over the age of 30's time. For me, it's women that I've dated. So Masai, a god tier time waster.
Yeah, Masai is really the hinge dude of the NBA.
Yeah, he really is. He's seeking a coquettish Red Scare listener. If anybody saw that, that's his bio from earlier today. I gotta say, like, really, I guess my thing here is I'm kind of trying to save some of the Buck stuff for when we actually have NB on the podcast here. But I just don't. I am really surprised that they did this, and it does seem to be. It's hard to read this any other way than Joe Cronin was like, all right, you guys are going to like fuck with us, tamper, target Dame. Here we go. Not only are we taking Dame out, we're also taking Giannis out. You're not getting Giannis.
Not only are we taking Giannis, we're making the Bucks much stronger for next season, in a season that is pretty much do or die for the Heat. And then on top of that, more importantly to me, is the fact that like this is the second straight offseason where a team has not come with an offer that the other team deemed as a serious offer. Last year was Donovan Mitchell with the Knicks, and look, that actually ended up working out fine for the Knicks. But at the time, the offer was Danny Ainge didn't get the offer he wanted, so we went and found another offer, and he got one from Cleveland that was better.
Look,
here's what I will say.
Cronin loaded up a bazooka full of dog shit and just aimed it at Pat Riley's house.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great. It's perfect.
It's really just good. Completely targeting the Heat here.
Just to go back to that Knicks trade, though. I mean, the hang-up point on the Knicks trade was that they wouldn't put R.J. Barrett in the trade. They'd put
then they extended
in the trade. Yeah,
kind of funny.
I'm still not sure that was the right decision. But
we have a live quote from the Miami Herald reporter Anthony Chang, who just said, Damian Lillard's agent Aaron Goodwin on Heat's pursuit of trade. They did everything they could to acquire Dame. It takes two to get a deal done. I appreciate all that Andy, Pat, and Mickey did to try to make this happen. So what does that tell you?
He's just trying to get himself fined again on the way out. What the fuck is he doing there?
So Cronin basically said, no, fuck you. And
Cronin rocks, man.
In a way for the Blazers, this trade is baffling and it is understandable if Miami wasn't being serious about their offers, but I'm sure there had to be some level of, hey, we're just going to take whatever the best offer we can if we don't get your real offer by this date, and Miami fucked around and found out.
Yeah, that seems exactly what it was. It was the 7 assets theory. Yeah, this is funny, by the way, the Jimmy thing. But
Jimmy went on Instagram Live and basically said that the Bucks have been tampering.
Honestly, the NBA needs to look into this Dame situation with tampering, which the Miami Heat front office was like, no, stop. We might lose 2 firsts anyway if they do stop.
Yeah. And then Tyler Herro quote tweeted what he said. I'm like,
that's got to be a little.
Hold on, from Tyler Herro quote tweeted and said that.
Yes.
Brother, who do you think was the asset in the trade?
Yeah, I know.
He's like, I want to be gone now.
Utah, brother, you were about to be the Great White Hope in Salt Lake City. Like, what happened?
Jesus Christ, yeah.
It's literally the guy who he's sitting in the corner. It's like, how do we tell him that he was going to be the sacrifice?
Sam, me and you have been talking for the last few weeks about how shitty the East is and how it feels like you could make the argument that every one of the best teams took a step back.
Yeah. I think the Celtics are probably the most confusing about that. Like I could see someone making a case the Celtics got better.
Sure.
I don't believe that, but but I think this puts Miami pretty clearly at the top of the pecking order, at least for
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, because they just solves a lot of their problems that they had half-court offense. They won't defend on the perimeter the same way, and they are going to be a very old team. They were the oldest team in the NBA last year. They just got older again. So,
Jrue and Dame are the same age, so it doesn't really matter.
But they lost Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen, yeah. But it just doesn't matter.
Oh, no.
They're getting away with it.
Allen's good. No, Grayson Allen can't play in the playoffs. We've done this before.
Oh, sure.
Well, neither could Jrue Holiday.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like, again, they'll probably be better in the playoffs. Sorry to cut you off, Dred, but just like
cut me off. It's great.
They're probably gonna be better in the playoffs because this is what adding top tier talent does. This is what it does. But I do think it's gonna be a rougher regular season for them than some expect. You got a lot of old guys. You don't have a ton of you don't have a ton of rotation players. Like, unless you get really good health luck, I don't necessarily expect them to be a number 1 seed. That said, they are going to be very dangerous in the playoffs, and right now I would probably pick them to come out of the East.
Yeah, because if you look at the thing, even when they won the NBA title, the Bucks struggled with half-court offense. That was always their biggest issue. Even when they got Jrue Holiday and he was supposed to be this upgrade over Eric Bledsoe, and you could maybe make the argument he was, but also he shot terribly in every single playoffs that they ever played in. And, he certainly, him and PJ Tucker certainly made their defense a bit more stout on that end. But offensively, Jrue, every time we get into the playoffs, he's basically Ben Simmons with better marketing. And I feel like I'm going a little bit crazy because the Bucks, even though the Bucks, like you said, this is their last move they can really make. They have
but we didn't even think they had a last move.
Exactly. They've wriggled themselves out of a jam that we thought was basically, they have gotten themselves back into, like you said, favorites in the East, at least possibly in their own tier, if not with Boston. And you got to look at it like they just solved their biggest issue in the half court. Now, yes, their defense isn't going to be nearly as good, obviously. You lose Jrue, Middleton's getting older. They don't have like a lock-up perimeter defensive guy for sure. But also, that guy is so much easier to find than a top-level shot creator like Damian Lillard. Like, how do you stop a Giannis Dame pick and roll? Like,
you don't. You can't. There's no way.
It's harder to find a Dame than it is to find a Jrue. You could find 80% of Jrue in the playoffs, in the trade market somewhere else, on the fringes somewhere else, and you have taken your team from, a team that's always going to struggle in the half court, doesn't have the shot creation and pull up 3-point shooting necessary to really succeed at the highest levels. And you still have Giannis, who's one of the best help defenders and an extremely good on-ball defender as a wing guy. And you still have Brook Lopez, at least for the next year, you would think is still an elite level rim protector. And I think that this, while it might, they might just fucking suck in 6 years, the next 2 years, they're going to be really set up really well. And this is honestly a move that I'm not trying to say that I honestly think Miami might have one more move left in the cupboard. Like they might have just like another bullet they can fire. But between them and the Sixers, I think that those two teams are the two teams that lost out the most here. Because the Sixers just, all they have is the James Harden thing left. And if they don't figure that out, then they're going into the season with bad vibes and a mismatched roster and a guy who doesn't want to be there. And then Miami just lost out on a guy while Jimmy Butler's getting older. And that's kind of where I feel like the Jrue thing is really important. Where he ends up could end up being important for this as well.
Look, my nightmare scenario now is the Heat get Levine.
I saw someone say that in the comments. Why hasn't that like been a thing? Like why hasn't?
Because they were getting Dame.
Yeah,
right.
So they would rather have Dame. So maybe we'll start hearing about that now. I mean, we've heard behind the scenes that like the Bulls would like to move on from Dame from Zach before the start of the year. So maybe we see this might be a domino effect. We might see a Harden and a Zach LaVine move here in like the coming week. I wouldn't like bet on it or anything like that, but like
I think it's probably. I mean, if we know Jrue is moving, and from what we've already heard, the Sixers have interest in Jrue, the Heat have interest in Jrue. I'm sure the Clippers are going to have interest in Jrue too, because the fact that they are just looking for alternatives to trading for Harden.
I think Juan was talking about that on the timeline.
Yeah, and that those are the kind of teams that are going to go after Jrue. I think Jrue is going to be overextended probably in the majority of situations that he ends up in. Maybe not the Clippers, because the Clippers have 2 wing level, star level shot creators. With the Sixers, he might be asked to do too much. With the Heat, I'm not really sure how the fit is there. I'm sure they'll figure something out if they do acquire him. But I've seen a lot of people say like all this stuff about other teams, and I feel like people pointed out, okay, what message does this send to Embiid that the Sixers aren't making these all-in moves for guys like Dame, whatever? I just think that, like, at a certain point, he can recruit guys. Like, Giannis just recruited for now what was the Jrue trade 3 years ago? He recruited Jrue, and now he recruited Dame. within a few years. Now, Dame didn't obviously want to end up going there, but he is going to be fine playing there. He wanted to play with Giannis for all those years. I just think that
Slop in the chat, by the way.
Okay.
Ramona Shelburne reporting the Sixers are a team to watch for Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, and the Sixers also, Neubeck came out and said that the interest is real for the Sixers. And if Kyle's saying that, it's definitely real, because Kyle is very conservative when it comes to reporting any of this stuff. So he said a team in the if he said that's coming from the organization is what I'm trying to say here. Someone in the organization probably tipped them off that they would be interested in Jrue Holiday. I get the fit if you're just trying to maximize the return on a James Harden trade.
But whether it's such a Morey move.
He's a calculator guy, obviously. Drew's always one of the best analytical guys in the regular season. He's still a very, very good defensive guy, but
I kind of like it with Maxey as a backcourt.
That's
offense, defense. I mean, you still need a wing. You still do need a wing.
What's the trade package? So it has to be a 3-team. It has to probably involve the Clippers getting Harden.
Yeah.
So what is it? Drew
for anyone who's listening, I'm rubbing my eyes right now because I'm like, how many times are they going to acquire guys who fall apart in the playoffs? Like, this is literally every single year they're acquiring a new guy that is like, oh no, he'll be the one who fixes up. Jrue shoots. They won the title, and Drew's time in Milwaukee, he shot 39% from the field in the playoffs, 30% from three, and 75% from the line. Also, he's not a true point guard. I will say the defensive fit with Maxey is really nice because you don't want Maxey guarding at point of attack next year. You would prefer to have someone like Jrue. But then again, there are certain matchups like Drew's not going to do anything against Tatum. Drew's not going to do anything against Jimmy Butler. And like, those are the guys that you're going to have to play. He's probably going to have to guard up with he could probably do something with Dame. Certainly. Now that Dame is on the Bucks, he did that before.
But here's what I would say about that though, is it's like, what else are you getting for James Harden?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you're at with the
that's what I'm saying.
You're completely right. I'm just not going to talk myself into it, but you're objectively correct that Jrue Holiday is the best player you can acquire to get for James Harden probably.
This is much better than what I would have thought, Now, there is a player option for next year, which does kind of influence Morey's, stuff, because I'm assuming he intends to play next year and then retire, right? Like
that's what he was talking about.
Yeah. So that would impact the cap space, and that's Morey's. That's kind of been Morey's like new plan. So that doesn't necessarily fit. That's the part that doesn't fit. But outside of that,
someone did point out in the comments, even if they acquired Jrue, they would still have a max slot next offseason.
Right. It's just who's the max slot next offseason at this point.
But the whole plan is kind of bullshit to me, to be honest. When you see teams like Miami and Milwaukee and Boston making aggressive moves, and you're sitting on your hands when Joel Embiid is about to be 30 years old next season, that's where I'm like, the whole plan doesn't make any sense to me.
And his knees are 50.
But I would rather try to make at least a half measure where you get a Jrue Holiday or someone to fill a spot for a guy that doesn't want to be on the team. I think the Sixers are a better team with James Harden than they are with Jrue Holiday. But I also think that if James Harden doesn't want to be here, they'd be better with Jrue Holiday.
Right. They're a better team with real James Harden, but fat suit James Harden is -1 players.
Yeah, exactly.
Jrue, I'm going to be very interested to see how the Jrue market plays out, because there's a lot of teams. Someone just said the Wolves for Conley and a prospect. I don't know what young guys they could offer though that would like interest the Blazers in Jrue, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them get like 1 or 2 first round. By the way, did you realize Nasir Little was in the deal going back to Phoenix?
Yeah.
But I don't know that
he was not good last year. He was really bad.
Yeah, but wasn't it like his sophomore year? Wasn't it like his sophomore year?
No, he already got extended. He's like in his like 4th year. Yeah. Nas Little was a first round pick in 2019, I think. Right?
Yeah, I think
this is like his 5th year.
18.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I don't think that's anything, to be completely clear.
Yeah, 2019.
Right, I want to talk a little bit just about the other teams' returns, because you brought that up.
What the fuck is Phoenix doing?
Let's talk about Phoenix for a second, because we'll get to the Blazers. They're the bigger picture here. But with Phoenix, it's got to be, as Bry Guy puts out, it's just to get off the Ayton contract. It's a cost-cutting move. Nurkic, we talked about this last night on the podcast. Nurkic is obviously a downgrade when it comes to actually playing basketball in 2023, even if he might be the more stereotypical role player center that Ayton never wanted to be. He's like aging very fast. He's never healthy. He's looked very washed the past 2 seasons. We were shocked when he got that contract. And then the guys like KOC who were saying, oh, well, Phoenix's depth is crazy now. I'm like, Keon Johnson and Nas Little, look, maybe one of those guys turns into an NBA level wing. Neither of them have really proved that they're that yet at all. They're young, but that doesn't mean anything to me. Like if you're trading away your 4th best player and you're getting an active downgrade, Grayson Allen and 2 wings like that doesn't really do anything for me. Now, Grayson at least is an NBA player. Like we all could agree that Grayson Allen's going to be at least a bench guy that provides shooting for the Suns, but he's not enough for me to do that downgrade. They need to hit on one of these wings in the trade. Like it, if anything, like people put it out, I think it was a cost-cutting move.
But it wasn't. It didn't. They went up 1.2 million.
Wait, what's that?
They actually added money in the deal.
That's
they added
unbelievable.
1.2 million in the deal, and like
it's $5 billion
adding,
with the tax.
When you're over the second apron, adding more small, medium contracts is a disaster because now you can't aggregate those anyways.
Oh right, you're right because of the new rules.
Right, you're just stuck with those. Swearing's fine, right? Like.
Yeah,
shitty ass contracts. Like these are the fucking worst fucking contracts you could have. You can't even turn Ayton and some bullshit into slightly less awful bullshit, or even just normally equally awful bullshit. Instead, you've turned Ayton into 4 steaming piles of bullshit that now you can't get rid of.
I was going to say, you can't even, if the fact that you basically have to do 1-for-1s with those trades, and we were talking about when they were doing these weird little trades over the offseason where they were doing the swaps, the pick swap trades, that eventually maybe they'll use them in a trade, but they can only attach it to, like you said, they can't aggregate salary. They can't trade 3 players. They can only trade 1 player at a time.
Right, or they can trade one of these for 2 smaller contracts, which fine. Let's somehow turn Nurkic, one of the worst contracts in the league, into 2. This is like, so you know the bit where you start with a paperclip and you try to trade your way up to a Maserati?
Sure.
They've done something else. They've taken a paperclip and just traded it into 2 chewed pieces of bubble gum.
Yeah, I was going to say there's I just don't get this unless one of Nas Little or Keon Johnson becomes a legit NBA wing. Then okay, and maybe you can survive the Nurkic drop down a little bit more. By the way, I just saw the Gambo tweet. Gambo's tweet, for anyone who's listening, was, by the way, not a money-saving deal either. The Suns' salary went up $1.2 million, and the tax went up by $5 million. And to my response to that is, wait, hold on, the deal gets worse.
Yeah.
That's not what you think it is. It's not a tax-saving deal. It's just a really bad deal.
They just must really fucking hate DeAndre Ayton. And
that must have been it. They must have been like, get him the fuck out of here. We will do anything that we can to get him out of the building, and this is the best offer we're getting. Maybe some of these guys could turn into rotation players, and Nurk will get back to his form from 2 years ago. When, by the way, he's only 20. He just turned 29.
But that's Vulcan 29.
Yeah, true. Very, very good point. It's a different level of 20. They've seen some shit. But the reason I say this is because it's not like sometimes with these guys, if he can only get Blake Griffin with the Nets, or some of these guys they sign with teams. Even Russ this past year, they get a little bit more invigorated on a new team, sure. But Nurk is 29 and having washed at injury concerns. Usually that ends very badly for guys who started to show this at 27 when you're Nurk size. And he signed an $18 million a year contract that no one wanted. And Ayton, as much of a headache as he could be, he's still a solid NBA player. He's a top 15 starting NBA center.
the Sun, and if he was trying, I still believe that Ayton, if he was in a place that he gave at least a shit about, he'd be top 10 center. But like you in the West, you need to get through Nikola Jokic. You need to get through Anthony Davis. You probably need to get through like
Zion, maybe. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, like sure, Zion. I mean, like there are real like big guys in the West that you need to be able to stick somebody in and bully, and your answer is Nurkic, Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah,
Nurkic.
I mean,
I'm cooked. I'm recooked. They stuck me in an air fryer, reheated me, and cooked me again. Nurkic. No,
in fairness, Ayton proved he can't do shit in a Nuggets series, and he will not be providing. He will certainly not be not that there is anything like a Jokic stopper, but he certainly didn't do himself any favors. I think that he just completely sold there. But I do just want to bring up, someone just sent Dame's cousin in the comments. Yeah. Dame's cousin tweeted and said, if you're a Miami fan, understand y'all had a better package, far better. This is a Blazers front office thing.
I think he's just lying.
I'm doing Larry David
Cope?
face right now.
Is this Cope?
This is
Cope. This is Cope.
I did see some beautiful Cope.
I mean, this is what, because Dame wanted them to keep all their good players, obviously, so they wanted to force the trade while only the shitty ones went out, which is why Tyler Hero was connected to everything.
And also because they didn't want to give up Caleb Martin, who is someone that Dame wanted to play with. And they have very few guys players that have real value. The picks were what the value in this trade was going to be. We discussed it last night. They didn't have to include Tyler Hero in this trade. They didn't have to include anyone but like Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, the prospects and picks. And they seemingly, I can imagine maybe taking a slightly worse package to be like, you're not going to dictate the terms of this deal. I'm going to dictate the terms of this deal. But you're not taking such a bad package that it is actively hurting your team. So I don't think Miami must have given like a crazy offer compared to this one.
Oh, exactly. But that's the whole thing, is that like
I'm not saying the package is good, by the way.
No, it was
I'm not. I'm saying it's the worst star return we've seen, probably. Except for the Beal one, which was his own thing.
Right. The moment it became clear that the Suns were willing to, for some reason, take on the Nurkic contract, which is something you two, by the way, from the get-go were like, okay, they need to make Miami take the Nurkic contract. Like, you were hounding that from the get-go, to your credit. But, like, the moment that became clear, all the Heat had to do was say, okay, we'll send Hero, we'll send JJJ, Jaime Jaquez and Jovic. We'll send 2 firsts and a swap, and you'll be fine. And they just wouldn't. They wouldn't commit all of those things. They're like, we're going to send Tyler Hero a couple picks and some filler.
Sure. I'm sorry, I was laughing at, this is a great sentence I'm about to say. Piss just commented and said, a second Dame cousin has hit the Blazers. Shout out to Keljin Blevins, the worst NBA player in history, who was only on the team because he was Dame's cousin. But yeah, a little bit of a monkey's paw for sure for me, because in all my power, because this podcast is so powerful and my Twitter presence is so powerful, that I have been using all of my propaganda to not get Dame to the Miami Heat, and he ends up on probably the only scenario that's worse for the Sixers.
Yeah,
ending up with I still think if Miami's offer was Hero, picks, all that stuff, that Miami would have been better than Milwaukee is right now. But just because I think they would have been able to maintain some depth and had an insane best 3 players. But also, Giannis and Dame is now the best duo in the Eastern Conference and maybe in the NBA. Like
they tried to offer less for Dame than they offered for freaking Bradley Beal. Like discuss, like literally, they tried to offer less for Dame because Dame said, "I only want to play with Miami," and it bit them. It snake bit them. That it's It's bit us all. It also, like, again, as we said, like, Joe Cronin loaded up a trebuchet full of dog shit and aimed it at Pat Riley's house because now the Giannis sweepstakes is gone.
Yeah. The Giannis sweepstakes is out the window. They really did kill two birds with one stone. And also, another wrinkle in this is if you're the Phoenix Suns and you're a contender, how are you aiding another contender? Like, I know it's on the other side of the conference, so you're the other conference, so you're just not too worried.
Look,
you're like,
the Suns love helping the Bucks get Mickey Mouse titles.
There we go.
There it is. Well, might have done it again here. I guess they figured we would make this deal individually for some reason, and the only involvement from the Bucks is Grayson Allen's inclusion, so it doesn't really make a difference to them. But I kind of look at it as I'm certainly not trying to help a team that is potentially facing me in the NBA Finals get Damian Lillard when their other options are possibly just keeping an aging out Jrue Holiday and losing Giannis in a year or two. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess they were like, we would do this deal separately for some reason, and we're not going to worry about a team that's in the other conference.
Matt Ishbia Bosnia business interests does not return anything, but I'm gonna keep digging on this to see what happened there with the
you gotta remember Bosnia Herzegovina. You have to search the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Okay, so
can't forget out the second part. You know.
Yeah.
Also, Dame's other cousin, not Keljin Blevins, Brookfield Deuce, our guy. They have such great names in that family. But he just tweeted and said Toronto had a better package too. To be fair,
they did have a better package because the fucking Masai offered Scotty Barnes and OG.
Well, no. He wouldn't dangle OG. He wouldn't dangle OG.
No, but he did. He did, and then he just said no.
Yeah. Hyken,
what are you talking about? I didn't.
Sean Hyken, who's a Blazers reporter, said today, Masai is like the guy in your fantasy league that will send you 5 trade offers in a day, and then before you can respond, he'll cancel all of them. So from what we heard, OG and Barnes were offered for Dame, and I don't know what they were getting back in the trade. Toronto, I'm assuming it was Dame and stuff, maybe. But from what I heard, those two were both offered, and then Masai just canceled the deal at the last second. And I don't believe any of the reports that the Raptors weren't actually involved in like a serious capacity. I do think that they were going to. I also don't think Dame wanted to go to Toronto, and I think that this was maybe the middle ground where it's like, okay, well, we don't make Dame too mad at us because we're sending him to play with fucking Giannis.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. All this talk about like Portland doesn't reward loyalty, all this other stuff. I gotta be honest. I think if Dame thought for a second that getting to play with Giannis was a realistic expectation, he would have had the Bucks as one of his
list.
teams,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
But like he's like, oh no, the only team that can get me that I want to play with somebody is like Jimmy and Bam in Miami. Like Dame's got to be like, I'm thrilled about this. Like you traded me to a clear title, like favorite. Honestly, it's I'm not trying to do this as a bit. Like legitimately, I think Dame's probably very happy with Cronin right now, with Joe Cronin.
I mean, I would imagine he's been talking about wanting to play with Giannis for years. Go back and look at his tweets from 2021, 2022, when there was all this smoke around a potential Dame trade. The guy that he always said he wanted to play with was Giannis. He gets to play with Giannis now.
The MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on. Like, every guy says that about the MVP of the league. Like,
no, he wasn't the MVP at the time. This was off them winning a title.
What? Wait, yes,
2021? He was Jokic won in 2021.
Yeah, so
but he was the MVP the 2 years before that, though.
He was the MVP the year before the title run.
He has publicly said before he wants to play with Giannis more than any other player, is what I'm trying to say. And that is something through all of this. And that is something that I think, like I said, like the Bucks didn't lose depth really in this trade. They lost 2 rotation players, and they put Dame in here. Now, the rest of their depth chart isn't great, but it wasn't going to be good anyway. Like, I think that their pathway to a title was always being top heavy, and this just makes them more top heavy, but much better at the top. Like, you have your starting lineup is going to be what? Dame, I don't even know, Middleton at the 2, I guess, or Middleton, Dame, Middleton. Who's going to start at the 3 for them? Pat Connaughton?
It doesn't
Maybe?
matter. And
Giannis and Brook.
Yeah, like a stuffed animal.
Yeah.
A fan, a different fan every week.
They also have Malik Beasley in the regular season, so he could start some too.
They have the young guy too. What was it, Marjan Beauchamp?
Marjan might be, but he was probably already going to be in their rotation. I would imagine of all those players, Pat Connaughton's the best NBA player right now in terms of yeah. And then you could have Beasley, Beauchamp, all those guys coming off the bench. Bobby Portis is still on the team. They still have him. Like,
they gave up very little in terms of like right now assets.
They gave up 2 picks. 1 pick isn't even guaranteed. It's a swap. They gave up that 1 pick in 2029. That's
I think they gave up
real
2
piece.
swaps. I think they gave up a 28 and a 30 swap and a 29 pick. But like,
one guaranteed pick,
and it just doesn't matter because you guess what? If you didn't do this, Giannis had 1 foot out the door, and now it just doesn't matter. You've just pushed your chips in, and credibly speaking, probably made your team as a fit a lot better overall too.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, you're right. It's the 2028 and 2023. Phoenix gets those 4 guys we talked about. Oh, I forgot. Oh my God. How did we leave out Tumani Kamara being involved in the deal? Dread, I can't believe you missed that.
I know. I'm slipping on this one. my boy Tumani.
That's got to be a Parm favorite. I got to ask Parm if he loves Tumani. I think that Daniel Sohn also loves Tumani Kamara.
I want to address in the comments. I've seen a couple people to ask because they were at work, like, will this be on the Patreon because I missed the first 40 minutes? I have a response to this. The casuals won't be addressed, but the Unoball fans and the city of Slop Tokyo will that I love in truth will be addressed truthfully. Stay tuned. Excited for my next chapter. Patreon.
Yes, so, this will be on the Patreon.
Slipping the word Tokyo in there for some reason.
Yeah,
Slop Tokyo.
Slop Tokyo. It's like
he always has Japan on the mind.
Yeah, are you a weeb, Sam? Is that what we are learning?
Sam is a pervert.
I gesture at my kingdom. I bring my nephews up here and let them look at all of my Tales of games all the time. So I gotta say that Dame, that was a very cryptic message for Dame to just tweet out. Like, he didn't do like the stock answer. Like, it's very funny to address the casuals before you address your fans, either that you're leaving or greeting.
So, by the way, Portland, I love you. Also to the casuals.
Yeah, exactly.
Jonathan's correct. It's a wide receiver ass tweet. You know,
Dame it really is a wide receiver. Yes,
Dame is the most wide receiver.
The casuals speak kindly and hold a knife.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Cronin. He was speaking kindly and he did hold the knife. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know because I think Dame should be thrilled about that. I mean, I guess like lifestyle wise, it's not. But if he actually wants to win, he wasn't going to do better than this. This is about as good as it gets. So,
and is Milwaukee a worse city to live in than Portland?
Yes.
I like Milwaukee.
I think so. I've never been. I actually can't say.
They got really good cheese.
Yeah.
You're less likely to die than you are in Miami, especially these days. Like, Dame will be able to buy insurance for his house now. That should be a good thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yep. So. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. That's the hidden cost. No state tax in Florida, but your insurance is $8 million for your house. So I don't know. Yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be something else. I don't know. This is very interesting because I wonder if this kicks up a little mini slop session before media day. Like,
I think it has to.
Yeah, like are we gonna get Zach LaVine stuff? Are we gonna get James Harden stuff? Are we gonna get Jrue Holiday stuff?
We're definitely gonna get Jrue Holiday because Woj's tweets make it sound like Portland's gonna trade Jrue in the next week. They might not even finalize this deal.
Right. They might
so
leave
they
it
can
open.
expand it and find a fourth team to get involved so that they can take on Jrue Holiday, because I think that Jrue just, first off, we talked about it all offseason. Them getting another guard doesn't make any sense. Them getting a 33-year-old guard certainly doesn't make any sense in Portland. They'll probably try to get the best, first round pick and expiring contract or like prospects or whatever they can get back for Jrue and go from there. I think that people have brought up Miami as a potential place, but like, are they going to be so mad at Joe Cronin that they don't even engage in a conversation for a guy like Jrue, even though they could send Kyle Lowry and like a first and a swap for Jrue? And that would certainly make the Heat a much better team. Like Jrue, you would have Jrue, Jimmy, Bam, and then all of your young guys and some picks left in case you wanted to make another move down the line. Like, I don't know if it's the worst thing in the world, but also, if you are Miami, do you just try to wait and see if the Donovan Mitchell situation falls apart in Cleveland? Because that was one of the three teams that was on Mitchell's list when he got traded from Utah, was Miami. And he has the connection with Wade. He's friends with Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Levine is a legitimate option, you go after Levine. It sounds like they're going to go after Jrue. I actually don't love that for them. Like, I think that in order, I would rank getting Levine as being kind of their optimal strategy if it's there. But otherwise, yeah, I think you wait for and see if you can scoop the Nets for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I see people saying Harden to the Heat, but I don't think they're gonna.
Morey's not going to do that.
Morey's not going to trade. Morey doesn't care. He definitely cares a lot about maximizing value in trades, but I don't think he cares to the point where he would if he thought that would make Miami a much better team, I don't think he'd do it. And honestly, it probably would, considering what Miami would be sending out. So
in a Fresno barber shop called Phase 2 a few months ago, Giannis Antetokounmpo was asked of one of the players he would like to play with. His response: Damian Lillard.
Thank you, Chris Haynes. I mean, yeah, he's certainly been, like I said, Giannis probably recruited him. Giannis probably said, look, if we can come up with a deal, this is not a bad fallback option for you if they're not willing to deal with Miami and Miami isn't being serious. Yeah, actually, Chris Haynes is going to be pissed he can't move to Miami now. That was part of the plan.
Again, saving him from himself. He was going to get swallowed by the sea.
Yeah.
Definitely possible. Yeah, thank God. Now Mark Haynes or Mark Stein and Chris Haynes podcasts will live on forever. Mm-hmm. I was really worried about that. All right, don't even recognize that. So yeah, I don't know. I think that maybe I'm being reactionary, but this feels like a trade that I only really love for the Bucks. Yeah. I don't really get it for Portland. We'll see what they can get for Jrue. I hate it for the Suns. Unless any of those guys turn into legit rotation pieces for them and Nurk isn't fully washed, it makes literally zero sense to me. And the Bucks just went from we're fucked to probably, if not along with Denver co-favorites, second in line.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Like, it's, to me, this is a slam dunk for the Bucks. I don't think it's terrible. What are you saying, Irvin Magic Johnson? Like, geez, I'm sorry.
So hold on, I just want to clear things up here. Magic Johnson said the Phoenix Suns got a lot better and a much deeper roster with Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, Keon Johnson. The Lakers are the best in the West, followed by Phoenix and Denver behind them. I just want to say that Magic Johnson and Kevin O'Connor agree on this. That it was a great
true. That's so true.
Oh, people have pointed out to me, worst player GM of all time, Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
maybe. He's got to be up there. He's got to be up there.
I mean, I liked the Beal deal for them because their alternative was nothing. They had no other options. But to then do this deal on top of that, awful. It feels like he has no idea what he's doing if he is involved in these moves.
I think Durant doesn't understand the center position. I mean, think about this. A big man in general, who did they force the Nets to
DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, they forced the Nets to help.
Then apparently he wanted Paul Millsap over Isaiah Hartenstein. Yep. He traded Jarrett Allen, who, look, Jarrett Allen maybe needed to be included, but it doesn't seem like Houston really wanted him in that trade.
They could have easily done something else.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of proof adding up here that KD doesn't care about that. Oh, huge move by the Heat here. They have waived Caleb Daniels, Jamari Bouye, John Elmore, Check Diallo.
No, they signed John Elmore and Check Diallo.
Oh, sorry. Apologies.
And
they signed RJ Hampton to a 2-way contract.
They then immediately waived Elmore and signed RJ.
It's an Exhibit 10. It's a fake thing, so he can play in the G League for them. But actually, good point. The Bright guy just put it out. RJ Hampton will be a rotation player for the Heat somehow now. So imagine you're Jimmy Butler and you're okay. We're gonna let you cook in 1 second, Nihilus Bucks. I'm gonna let you go off, Gregory. But imagine you were Jimmy Butler thinking all offseason you're going to be playing with Damian Lillard, and now your big offseason acquisition was Josh Richardson and Thomas Bryant.
I would also whine to the league and be like, you got to look into this tampering. They got to look into the tampering.
Yeah, definitely a good move for the Heat to do that.
I hope, I am a firm believer in the rule of law. I am Robert Mueller. Please look into the tampering involved.
All right. NB. We have a Dread Krastenstein here on the line. NB, how are you feeling, bud?
I'm feeling fantastic, assuming my microphone is working.
Yes, your microphone is
okay.
Great. Sorry, we'll let you fly.
Well, first of all, John Horst has done miracles on me. He has turned Greg Monroe into fucking Damian Lillard.
Explain that.
He traded Greg Monroe for Eric Bledsoe for Jrue Holiday into Damian Lillard.
And 10 first-round picks on top
of 5 firsts and 4 seconds, but we don't need to talk about that part.
Certainly a nice we always talk about the Serge Ibaka trade, right? We talk about how Sam Presti turned Serge Ibaka into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and 7 first-round picks. That's certainly not far behind it in terms of player upgrades. Greg Monroe and 5 firsts for Damian Lillard eventually. And also Jrue Holiday helped you guys win a title. So not bad at all. It's very funny, NB, that at the beginning of this offseason, we did an entire podcast about how fucked the Bucks are and how they have no moves to make.
Yep.
I didn't think we would get the Raptors Kawhi spite trade, so
yes, that is probably the closest historical comparison. It was we're not trading you to the Lakers, Kawhi. We'll take DeMar DeRozan, the pick that became Jakob Poeltl and a first round pick. That's really the closest historical comparison we have to this trade.
That was what I immediately thought of when I was like, who do we trade Dame to really piss off the Heat? Oh, I know.
Yeah, we just said it's 2 birds with 1 stone, because now Giannis is definitely not going to be available the next year or two. And you have the fact that they get Dame, the guy that the Heat wanted.
I just haven't stopped thinking about Damian Lillard pick and rolls with Giannis, with Chris Middleton, Malik Beasley, and Brook Lopez on the wings. I just haven't stopped thinking about it. What are you supposed to do?
That's unstoppable.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough.
I also want to trade Bobby Portis expeditiously for any sort of perimeter defense. Does anyone have any offers for me?
I was actually thinking about that, because the perimeter defense is certainly going to be the biggest weakness. Like that offense is going to be unstoppable, but against the Celtics, you have of that. I guess Miami could too on the other end, but if you guys can somehow acquire perimeter defense, but it's like I said, perimeter defense is so easy to acquire. Every year we see it's shooters and perimeter defense guys get moved at the deadline, every single year. And then
Franz Wagner Truth are mentioning Edmund Sumner, which I would love as a 15th guy, but I'm pretty sure we're going to just sign Campaign, which I'm also fine with because we need a backup point guard. But
at this point, you have so many ball handlers though with Dame. Middleton, Giannis. Like, do you really need a campaign? I'd rather just pick up a defensive guy, to be honest.
That too. I figured he's available, and he's probably the best player available. And dropping Dimes 20, our Lord and Savior, said campaign was going to sign with the Bucks, so I have no choice but to believe him.
Yeah, I mean, that it sounded maybe they were waiting to see if this deal went through. They sent out 2 players, they got back 1, and now they're going to sign campaign to take that spot. Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, the Bucks have done the hard part, and they've gotten. Are they the only team in the NBA with 2 top 15 players?
I mean, I guess you gotta. Is LeBron still a top 15 player?
No,
because it would be the Lakers.
No.
Does Anthony Davis count? The theoretical concept of Anthony Davis?
He actually.
The Suns do have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker.
Sure.
We'll see. I mean, Kevin Durant was certainly a top 15 player in the regular season last year.
So Bucks Suns part 2. Is this what I'm led to believe? I don't know. I think
Jay Crowder revenge series.
I think the big man will be. I still think the Nuggets have that. So here's what's funny is that Bucks and Celtics games traditionally some of like essentially NBA
the worst basketball ever. Yeah.
Essentially the worst basketball ever is just going to be these 120 possession games where everybody's shooting threes. It's gonna be very funny. There's going to be a lot of like
you remove Jrue and Smart from the equation, and it becomes a very different matchup.
Exactly. So it's just going to be like everyone's just going to be like fucking hucking shit at the rim. It's going to be gross. It's just going to
be 6 of the Bucks Celtics game 2 from 2022 series when you basically smoked us out of the gym. It'll just be 7 games of that, and whoever does it more wins.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just gonna be there's no Grant Williams now.
Is Joe Mazzulla Ball having a moment?
I don't think so. I think Joe Mazzulla Ball. I think the Celtics built to beat the Miami Heat.
Hold on.
Hold
on. When did it become Joe Mazzulla Ball and not Daryl Morey Ball, who literally invented this thing that has now killed him 7 different times? You have the
or Bud Ball.
You can kill the man. You can't kill the idea.
But that's what I'm saying is that Daryl Morey now went from killing his own team, the Houston Rockets, with the Warriors using Morey Ball. And now he's in a conference where the 2 favorites are the Bucks and the Celtics, and his team is considerably far behind those teams and probably will be 3-point heavy.
I do have to say, this is how we accidentally end up with a Sixers title run. Like, this is
the funniest outcome.
Yes, that is. I always say, what would be the funniest thing to happen? You can usually bet on that.
Well, last year the Heat getting to the finals was definitely the funniest thing that could happen.
Kevin's in chat. Kevin, trade me Alex Caruso for Bobby Portis back. You can have him back. Chicago will love him. Anyway, what I feel like might be an underrated part of this, because I haven't seen anyone besides Bucks fans talk about it, is Terry Stotts is our assistant head coach, and I'm really wondering how much of that was tampering.
This is why Jimmy Butler said it.
Also, Andre, I feel like he was more hired to 1, be the offense guy, and 2, Andre Griffin's never been a head coach before, so.
Yeah, it's probably part of it. I didn't even realize Terry Stotts was an assistant.
Woj talked about it on his weird little video thing, and I'm like, okay, so there definitely was some amount of tampering, but who cares?
I mean, if it's
a trade, they can't file for tampering.
Right.
I was gonna say player to player tampering is completely allowed if Giannis was recruiting him. Obviously, Jimmy Butler was openly recruiting Dame to the Heat, and I don't know.
It belongs in federal.
I do. I was gonna say, this is very much the monkey's paw situation for me. Using all my power to stop Damian Lillard to Heat, only for him to end up with fucking Giannis on his team. It's just unbelievable.
I'm about to go. Never financially recover from the sports cards I'm about to purchase.
Oh my god!
I have to delete so many tweets. I have so many Dame tweets. I have so many tweets. I think my favorite is probably like this Dame within Lillard's rapping during the All-Star game is basically like a Make-A-Wish kid on a football field.
You do have look. Hey, it was pointed out to me in the chat that Giannis's non-basketball playing brother is a rapper. So,
Yes, Francis, yep.
Yep. So, when are we getting
I didn't realize he had a non-basketball playing brother.
Yeah.
When are we getting Dame Dollar featuring Francis Antetokounmpo?
I am the number one Dame Dollar fan, Lincoln. I've listened to all of his albums in the last hour.
Well, look, Dame. I mean,
they're all good. They're actually really good. You guys just don't respect his rapping ability enough.
I heard Pitchfork's going to give it Best New Music now that he's been traded to play with the Bucks. Oh my god, dude! I'm
the guy who made the guy who made the Goop on You Grinch tweet is a Bucks fan. So,
oh wow, he's so pumped right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So this is Dame Dollar Sign exploring minds and bodies with his new SoundCloud album.
When did Dame change his name to King Pussy Eater?
Yeah, King Pussy Eater. Yeah,
that was the tweet for anyone who didn't know. That's not
anyone who's not up on their 2017 tweet banger. So.
Exactly. Oh my god.
We talked about where the Blazers are.
There it is. There it is.
I have plenty.
We've got some receipts for.
I have plenty.
If anyone who's listening, we're digging up Giannis or Giannis's NB's old tweets.
I can bring some in too if we want, but it's like stuff like I definitely have said Chris is better than Dame multiple times. It's poison fan brain, and what do you want me to do?
I remember having this argument with you not too long ago.
And now I have to completely flip, and I'm not giving any explanation for it.
At least you don't have to. At least you never said Jrue is better than Dame.
I don't think I did. Also, I was openly wanting Dame because I didn't want to see another Jrue Holiday doo-doo ass playoff game in my fucking eyeballs.
This is
again.
what I've been trying to tell people. The Jrue Holiday industrial complex trick y'all. Bill Simmons trick y'all. Everyone is acting like this is a big downgrade. I'm like, Jrue shoots 3 for 26 in any game that matters. Who cares? If you're the Bucks, this is an absolute. Dame was holding CJ back. That's a good one. I gotta say.
Yeah, I have so many. I have shit on Dame so much. It's so funny. You could keep going. Just search Dame, search Damian Lillard. That was from July 25th. That was in the middle of the finals. Let me have this.
It was Jrue greater than Dame for anyone who's listening. So there's plenty if you guys want to cook.
That one right
that was literally in the final.
So last few things here. Dan Gadzurek Enjoyer in the comments said the next Dame album will feature Bon Iver because he is famously from Wisconsin. I'm very excited to hear that auto-tune.
Jrue Holiday, I think, finished with the lower true shooting percentage than Eric Bledsoe for the Milwaukee Bucks in the playoffs.
Amazing. I pulled up his splits earlier, NB. He shot 39, 30, 75 for the Bucks in the playoffs.
The Bucks have a real chance to become the nepotism team now if they bring the cousin back. If they bring
all the
cousins back, they get all of Giannis's brothers. They could get.
We have 3 of the 4 of them. We just need Kostas to come over from France again.
Trade for AJ Griffin. Get the coach's son on the team. Like you could. There's all kinds of nepotism options.
Yeah. Keljin Blevins 2-way win.
So what's the funniest possible finals outcome now? Like what is it? Is it?
I mean, there's certainly funny outcomes like
Rockets Hornets.
Yes.
That would be I
was gonna say of realistic ones, not somewhat realistic. The Sixers or the Heat getting to the finals after all this would be pretty funny.
Exactly.
The Celtics losing to the Warriors again would be pretty funny. I gotta admit.
No,
I don't think the Warriors winning again would be funny though. I
guess that's true.
I'm trying to think of funny outcomes, like
the Blazers somehow making it to the finals.
Yeah, see, that's unrealistic. I'm trying to think of the Mavericks.
It's the Sixers winning. I think it's the Sixers winning. Like it'd be the Sixers with their shittiest team in a while. Going to the finals and beating the Nuggets.
Everyone hating each other, and they just
No, Embiid beating Jokic after everyone sucked him off for a year straight would be very funny. Like that would be very funny.
But now I haven't made my pick yet, but I'm certainly leaning towards Nuggets Bucks now. It feels pretty obvious to me. But
that feels like the narrative writing itself, doesn't it? It feels like the 2 quote-unquote small market teams with their superstars playing in the finals against each other.
Yeah, and they've won, 4 of the last 5 MVPs and finals MVP each. They basically have the same resume right now if you're to lay it out.
Yeah, it's kind of insane.
Yeah. So now that would be kind of the rubber match for the first take arguments. But all right, and last thing, okay, if there's anything in that Keith Pompey article read it. I can't read it because it's on Philadelphia Inquirer and they charge now. I can't read anything on there. If there's anything worthwhile in the Keith article about the Sixers getting back Jrue, getting back, I can't believe 10 years later, here we are. Then let me know. I don't think there's anything. I haven't heard anything from anyone. Kyle, like we said, Kyle reported earlier that they could possibly get him, but yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Dana. I just realized something. You know how I know this was a spike trade? Bucks didn't have to trade Marjan or any sort of theoretical young asset they had. That it's like, hey, we're Portland. We want the flyer.
Sure.
If we're trading you, Dame. You're giving us all of your lottery tickets. We didn't
Portland
give them anything.
traded more young players than they got.
Yeah.
Portland traded Nas Little and Keon Johnson, and they got literally just DeAndre Ayton. If you're talking about and Tumani Kamara, sure, but like he's like a two-way guy.
Like Marjan, Andre Jackson Jr., like Chris Livingston. I doubt any of these guys are anything, but you should at least be like, we're gonna see. You're gonna give them to us. You're getting Dame.
Yeah,
but
it makes no sense. You're totally right. That is why the Heat fans might have some credibility when it comes to this, because they couldn't even get like Andre Jackson or Marjan Beauchamp or someone.
Well, offer all your shit then. Like, sorry, like this is the thing that I always drives me crazy. It's like, oh, but our deal was better, and it's like, okay, well, that's not how the league works. Like, I'm sorry if they like
saying all offseason.
This is what I always talk about when I talk about like Danny Ainge and why I didn't like the Sam Presti idea, because when you have more stuff and you're like saying we're not going to give you some of this stuff we have, that pisses teams off. People don't want to trade with you. Like they don't like care about like the optic. Like Joe Cronin didn't care about like, he's like, all right, well, if I'm losing this trade anyway, fuck you. I'm not doing this. So like, you know, I don't know. I just really think that this is something
to be one of our teams that benefited from a spike trade and not Nihilus Bucks team.
I mean, yeah.
So
yeah, the poor Boston Celtics haven't caught a break in a long time. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Keith Pompey basically provided nothing in that article. He just laid out what we've been saying, which is Harden could get traded for Jrue in some capacity. Maybe Harden gets sent to the Clippers, stuff gets sent to the Blazers, the Sixers get Jrue. Sure. But
why wouldn't the Clippers just trade for Jrue?
That's what we were talking about.
Okay.
But I think the reason why they wouldn't trade for Jrue is because Paul George and Kawhi Leonard want to play with Harden, and more importantly, what has been their whole thing this whole time? I actually agree. I actually think if you're committed to keeping Russ, like Rob Flom said, it might make more sense to trade for Jrue than it does to trade for Harden. But I also think that these guys, they're so set on the idea of getting a high-level elite playmaker, and Harden's just a much better playmaker than Jrue. But he's also not the headache that Harden is, and he's also going to help your defense. Like, I don't know. I personally agree with you. Like, I think that they should be trying to go for Jrue probably. I think Harden it might even be a bit redundant on that team, but they want Harden. Like it's not trading for Dame versus trading for Harden. It's trading for Jrue versus trading for Harden. So that's the only scenario I can think of. Like before I was like, why would the Sixers get Dame when the Clippers could just get Dame? Because we both have no assets to go acquire him. But then again, you guys have no fucking assets and you got Dame anyway.
We have even less now.
You don't have anything left. Basically, yeah. Wait, can you guys aggregate salary, or are you too far into the tax?
We are over the second apron.
Okay, yeah, you can't. So you can't even aggregate. It has to be Bobby Portis.
Bobby Portis for Alex Caruso is written in stone. It shall be done. Inshallah.
Please.
You have to understand that if that happens, Kevin will hunt you down for sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll live with it. All right. So last thing I want to say here. Damian Lillard's Milwaukee debut is Thursday, October 26th against the Philadelphia 76ers. If anyone wants to meet me at the Walt Whitman Bridge, we will be jumping off in unison.
I was gonna say this is right after the chat said Celtics fans should all be shot in the face with a 6 fire reaction, 9 laughing emoji. And by the way, he's right, folks.
You assholes have gone full Lakers fan and thinks the bottom 20 teams exist to give me good players. Well, they do for me.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, hold on. The Bucks.
Big Bucks, yeah.
The Bucks in now twice in 3 or 4 seasons have acquired 2 better players for not much. I mean, Jrue trade was at least fair value, but this is insane.
We overpaid for Jrue, so this is water finding its level.
That's the angle.
Lakers
That's the angle. I hate when these fucking big market teams that are always the number 1 seed bully these small market 8 seeds like Miami that can never get their guys, and they just swoop in and steal their players. That's bullshit, man. These poor small market teams like the Miami Heat. So sad. Oh. I will say, like, probably the odds for title odds for the Celtics just went way down. I should be sad about this.
I gotta be honest. The Schadenfreude is worth it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, I don't care. The Miami Heat fans are rest in piss, bozos.
Yeah, they're threatening Pat Riley online.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, they're death threatening an old man who is like literally in his mind palace right now in a 1930s convertible, getting an over the pants HJ, like as we speak. So
shout out Lauren Bobbert.
I was about to say he's Lorena Barbiting.
Yeah, Lorena Bobiting. I don't know if he's doing that.
Got that. All right. So, yeah, that's it. It's Jover. Congrats to NB. Congrats to the entire Bucks fan base. I don't know what the Suns and Blazers are doing, but here we are. And the Miami Heat are in piss and shit, as are a lot of other teams.
Yeah, I was going to say, as are most of the East. But welcome to the septic tank.
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, like this, because I'm going to post it to YouTube later. So thank you guys for joining me. I'm sure we'll have a lot more slop to talk about soon, so we'll be back.
Last thing, Russell, with one last big one. Lillard got traded for 1/5 of Gobert.
Call that a Lorena Gobert.
Oh,
there we go.
Jesus.
Oh, God. And also, just real quick, did you guys talk about Jeremy Grant getting that insane contract that is now just there?
Well, they're probably going to trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, I was going to say, I looked it up because I remember it being really bad too, but then I looked at it. It's like $33 million. It's actually not that bad.
All right, so instead of trading for Jrue Holiday, the Sixers are going to get Jeremy Grant back.
Yeah, sure.
From Tobias.
Yeah. Tobias and Jrue both coming home to Philly. Jesus Christ! Restart the process. End my life. Get it over with. All right. Take care. Subscribe to You Know Birds. Bye.
Everyone.